to our top story now. The Pittsburgh Steelers are changing quarterbacks. Mason Rudolph benched. The new starter is rookie Devlin Hodges. The former champion duck caller will start Sunday against the Browns. Now, Rudolph has had some turnover problems. Hodges has not. And that was reflected in Mike Tomlin's answer in his news conference when he was asked, why Hodges?
He has not killed us. There's going to be enough pressure on Devlin just performing. So I'm not going to add to it by talking expectations. I expect him to not kill us.
Twice he went there, fellas. Twice. I mean, that.
He does not kill us.
That is putting Mason Rudolph on notice as much as it is saying I'm happy with Hodges, yeah?
It is, absolutely. And Mason Rudolph, I think we all keep forgetting because Big Ben got hurt so early, so we kind of think Mason Rudolph is the starter. Like, no, Mason Rudolph is the backup. And so Mike Tomlin is not going to miss any words. He means what he says, and he's right. Devlin Hodges gives this team a better chance to win, and they're right there. They can, if the ball bounces their way a couple more times, this team is right there, as the 6th seed possibly. So I like it, and, it also takes that dynamic of what happened the first time out of the equation.
Talk about it,
because just by default, if I had a player who was involved in an altercation like that happened the first game, I'm going to still have his back. Myles Garrett is not out there on the football field, but I'm going to still, as a rush defensive end, as a linebacker, as a secondary player, if I got a chance to hit Mason Rudolph because my other star player on my defense is not there to play in this game, I'm going to have his back. That's part of being in that brotherhood and being on the same team. So, you take that out of the equation and we can focus in on just football.
Yeah, the game is against the Browns, obviously, and now assuming that Rudolph stays on the bench the whole time, he'd probably still be active, but he's not going to be playing in the game. The top 3 people that were involved with the Thursday Night Football brawl will not be on the football field there and, in Pittsburgh this weekend. Back to the Hodges and the soundbite from Tomlin and everything else. If you're Mason Rudolph, what are you thinking right now? You're basically, your head coach said you were killing us, basically.
Well, Mason Rudolph, he was already a backup, and kind of what D'Angelo was saying. I mean, you can say this to the backup. You could, if this was Big Ben, this was Big Ben and Mason Rudolph, I don't think you hear Coach Tomlin make this statement like this. But to me, Devlin Hodges, with the way this defense is playing, he gives this team the best chance to win.
Well, he got to be pretty happy about it. Now, today, Tuesday, Players' Day off.
Yeah.
So he heard the news probably through the media, like we're passing it out.
No, you got to think they pulled him in.
Where was
Scott?
Well,
you think he was watching NFL Network like, oh, I'm starting?
I know where he was earlier today.
Where was
Show him where he was earlier
Let me see
today. He was in a dunk line.
They're calling out
That was right there. Yo, he probably got a text from Coach Tomlin or something, right?
Guy on the left right there is James Washington, the wide receiver, who he's going to be trying to hit for touchdowns right there.
Man.
Looks like turducken is on the menu this Thanksgiving.
I'm a vegetarian.
Or if you got James Washington, you might
I know
want to play him
not
on
down
your
with that right there. Take a look at the AFC playoff picture right now. Pittsburgh will enter the weekend as the 6th seed in the AFC. The Buffalo Bills holding one of those wild card spots as well. You got the Raiders, the Raiders, the Colts, the Titans, and Browns also in the hunt as well. Texans are the division leader in the AFC South right now. Let's talk about that 6th seed right now and our best choice presented by Golden Corral. I'm not going to ask you who you think's going to get the 6th seed.
Yeah, a lot of things got to happen.
Whoever ends up with the 6th seed, which one of those teams in the hunt or one of the teams holding the spot now could make a run in the playoffs?
For me, I'm going to say the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, look, they own the line of scrimmage. When you look at what they're doing offensively, they're averaging 144 rush yards a game. I know Marlon Mack is out, but they even rushed with their backup. He ran for 100 yards. And then you have this kid right here, Jacoby Brissett. When he plays, he gives his team the best opportunity to win. And then flip to your side of the ball, D'Angelo. They're stopping teams. They don't allow rushers to get to 100 yards. And this pass defense, they bend a little bit, but they do not break in the red zone. So for all of that, all of those factors.
That's January football.
That's January football. I love the Indianapolis Colts, man.
Yeah. For me, it's the Cleveland Browns. I was high on this team early in the season, then I went down low on them. Now I'm starting.
Because they beat Miami, now you're happy about it.
They beat Miami because Baker Mayfield is not throwing interceptions, man, and I love it. This offense, when you think about the explosive playmakers they have all over the field offensively, I always tend to lean on that, especially if they can get in that 6th seed. They got Pittsburgh this week. I think they'll win that football game, and that's why I'm saying, hey, I like the Browns as the 6th seed. Baker's playing a lot better, and his playmakers are starting to make the plays for him, and he's not pressing the issue.
Can
no more
handle
turnovers.
Can they handle the success, though?
That's
They
a
get into
good
the
question.
playoffs. Can they
I think
handle
they can, man.
That's a
I think
good
they can. I think they can.
Hey, look, we have had one in the last decade. We had one 6 seed actually win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It was the Green Bay Packers, the Aaron Rodgers Green Bay Packers Super Bowl championship over the Steelers. Lindsay?
AFC wildcard a little up for grabs still. NFC wildcards not so much. I think it's fair to say at this point that it would be an upset if anyone outside the West or the North takes those spots, since the teams in those spots right now have 9 and 8 wins respectively. And since we're talking about teams making a run out of the wild card, let me tell you why you should keep your eye on one of these teams in this week's Roads Less Traveled. What do we know about wild card teams and their path to the Super Bowl? 2 games minimum will be on the road. And you know who's the best road team in the NFL this year? The Seattle Seahawks. 6-0 away from home. And 4 of those games were East Coast early window games, which are historically tough for West Coast teams. See Raiders versus Jets. Also important in the playoffs, turnover margin. Seattle's this year, +9. That's 3rd in the league. And they're trending up in that department. 8 takeaways in the last 2 weeks. Not so coincidentally, when Quandre Diggs entered the lineup. Also changing things for his team, Ryan Tannehill. I know that Titans offense runs through Derrick Henry, but do you know how much better that Titans offense has been running since he took over? We're talking 28th in scoring without Tannehill, 3rd in scoring with him. They're scoring 13 more points per game. He's got the 4th best passer rating since week 7, the 3rd best completion percentage, and he's number 2 in yards per attempt. Now, this is the last year on his contract in Tennessee. I'm just saying, maybe it shouldn't be. And since we're already talking Tennessee, did you know that they scored 4 touchdowns in 6 plays on Sunday? If you left to make a sandwich, you came back to a totally different game. And a very good one for Derrick Henry, who scored 2 of those touchdowns in a span of 21 seconds. Last player to have that kind of touchdown turnaround, that was LaDainian Tomlinson, who scored 2 in 15 seconds back in 2006, one where he dragged a guy by his face mask. Good enough for my all-time team, LT. 8 out of 11 games this season, the Bills have scored 24 points or fewer. 8 out of 11 games this